Hello. Good Woch. And good Erev Yom Kippuer to everyone. Baruch Shem, B'ezrat Hashem, well, a Maisa from the Shem HaKadosh, Sichos again Aleinu, and little Sicha from Rabbeinu that we just came from. And B'ezrat Hashem will touch upon, Erev Yom Kippuer. So obviously it behooves us to talk about this, at least to touch upon this point. Okay. So we started the Maisa of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and the story is as follows. One time, by the way, before we start the Maisa, I want to tell you something very special. That when I was in Uman on Shabbos afternoon, I met a new friend, and who will be seeing this video on YouTube, in Shem later. His name is Victor Sharvit. Victor Sharvit is from Strasbourg. This is, you can say it, you can call it France, you can call it France, whichever one any way you want to do it. I came into shul, he says hello, and I already got it down to science when I'm saying, like, can you remind me your name again? I didn't recognize him. And Achinami, I never saw him before. He's learning the shurim, he's sharing the shurim together with us, albeit a bit later, and especially this one, the Motzei Shabbos shir. So, B'ezrat Hashem, Victor Sharvit, עם עץ השם, בהמשך של השיעור, אני אשאיר לך את הכתובת, אני אגיד לך את הכתובת שאתה מחפש. I'm going to leave you the address that you're looking for. Obviously, you can't put it on YouTube, so you'll be able to get in touch. Anyhow, so one time the Baal Shem HaKadosh said the Shlishis, and he was extremely perturbed, and he didn't say any Torah, so Shalashudis, and I mean that was really different, a strange occurrence. After Havdalah, he made Havdalah. He prepared the wagon. He told a few of the Talmidim to come with him, and didn't say anything, just went on the wagon and left. When they got out of town, the Baal Shem HaKadosh told the people to turn their faces and not to look outside. He told the Baal Agolo, the driver, also to turn his face backwards and not to look outside of the wagon. He told him to tie the straps and let the horses go where they may. And that's what they did. Talmidim saw that they are passing from town to town. Like every 15 minutes, they were going into a different town. And all night long until and obviously, there was Kippuer there, which was a known phenomenon. I think it's called teletransporting. I think that's the proper. The Baal Shem HaKadosh used to do. They came to a town, and the horses stood by a big fancy house. And the Balabais woke up in the morning, gave him Shalom Aleichem. Says, if you are merchants, you should have stayed in proper places for merchants. If you're Darshanim, you should have stayed the houses, the Parnas HaChodesh. HaKadosh says, what do you care? We're already here. We're not gonna stay here for that long. just rest for a few hours, and okay. So the Balabais let them stay there for a few hours, and he went. So Baal Shem HaKadosh went off the wagon, and he took his pipe, and he went to the kitchen, and to take a piece of coal, an ember, to light up his the tobacco. And there was a woman there that woke up that time, and she also came to the kitchen. The Baal Shem HaKadosh asked her to bring one piece of ember and put it in his pipe, and she did that. Baal Shem HaKadosh says to her, "Do you recognize me?" So she says, "No." He says, "How can you not recognize me? I'm your uncle. I live in the town of Sichos. What are you doing here?" So the woman says, "I was the wife of the son of the owner of this house, and my husband has passed away, and my father-in-law wants me to take his nephew for a husband. He's still a boy, but I can't say no to him. I don't want it." Hashem HaKadosh says, "Don't worry about it. I will be like a father to you. If you want, you can travel with me today. You can leave the place where you are. You can travel with me and come to my place. I'll give you a person who is suitable for you the way that you want." So the woman says, "Well, if that's the case, I really want to go with you." So the Baal Shem HaKadosh says, "Go ahead and prepare yourself, and because we're not going to stay here." So the woman went. She took her clothes and jewelry, and she put it in a box. And where her father-in-law saw what she's doing, he said, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" So she said, "The person that came here is my uncle. I'm going with him, and he's going to give me a husband, that's appropriate for me." When the homeowners, so you get very upset, you rent to him. He says, "What is this? You came here to take my daughter-in-law with all her clothes and all her jewelry without my knowledge?" So the Rav took the homeowner to the side, to a closed room, and told him as follows: "Listen, I'm the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and yesterday I left my house and I came here at Kfitza Sedera specifically. And the Indian is as follows: that after the death of your son, your daughter-in-law has gone off the derech, and she went and she was mazana with a few of the going around, and she promised one of the ministers here that she will convert, marry him. And yesterday, during Shalashulis, her grandfather came to me from the upper world, who was a big, famous tzaddik in his generation, and he asked me to fix his granddaughter. She has a very, very high neshama, and she felt into the depth of the klippas. And I promised him that I will have her. Now, your daughter-in-law has put a time limit until today. 2 hours from now, the ministers and his soldiers, his troops, whatever it is, are going to come and take your daughter-in-law and her clothing and her jewelry, and she's going to convert. So I'm giving you an advice. Let her run away with me, and Hashem will be with you. It will be a mitzvah rabbah, and that's all nefashos. I promise you that after a while, she'll give you back the clothing and the jewelry." And the words went into the heart of the homeowner. He believed him. The Baal Shem Tov walked the woman to the wagon. The Talmidim, they didn't know anything about all this. They were like amazed. When they came to Mezhibosh, Baal Shem HaKodesh made a shidduch with a very important person. And before the chasana, before the chuppah, the woman came to the room of the Baal Shem Tov to confess and ask for tshuva for her sins. Because while she was in the house of Baal Shem Tov, all the ruach ra that she had in her, was left. Baal Shem HaKodesh saw that she was speaking from the bottom of her heart, and he told her, how did you even imagine that I'm your uncle? You should know these things that never happen. I'm not your uncle. The only reason why I came to you is because you have fixed a time where you were going to convert. And your grandfather came to me from the upper world, and he asked me to save you before you married a Goyish minister. He says, if you're not going to do proper tshuva, you're not going to live long. When she heard this, she burst out crying. And she asked the Baal Shem HaKodesh to give her tshuva. And he says, the tshuva is that you're going to call off this shidduch with this important person. That the chasen and the chuppah have already been fixed. You're not worthy to be married to this person. Just get married to one of the bakers in town, and you sit down in the market and you sell bagels. And everything, all the clothing, all the jewelry that your father-in-law gave you, you send back to him. He hasn't done any wrong. He hasn't sinned in any way that you ran away from him. He allowed you to take anything from him, only because he believed me, so I can save your soul from getting down to Gehenna. And this is exactly what she did. She accepted tshuva b'lev shalom. She became a tzadikis, and her holy grandfather came to Baal Shem HaKodesh again and thanked him for that. This is a story about Yom Kippur. Let's take the Sichos Haran, which has a little bit to do with this as well. And then we'll talk B'ezrat Hashem a little bit about tomorrow night. Sicha that I want to read is Sicha 206. Reish Vav. Rabbeinu says, even somebody that does not hear the Dibur Torah that Rabbeinu has said, only the voice alone is also very good. Ze bechinas lishmoa b'kol dvarai, to hear the sound of his speech, b'kol daika, the voice. Afilu mishu rak omed b'bayit etzel haTorah shomer. Even somebody who's just standing in the house when Rabbeinu is saying Torah is very, very good. Tov me'oid me'oid. Bli shur, without an end. The nekuda that I wanted to make with this particular sicha, this amazing mice of the Baal Shem HaKodesh, because they are all one. Very frequently, we are able to see a Maisa or a Sicho that on the face of it sound like we're going into Sukkot and we're supposed to be in the Dalit Minim, and it says to stop bad winds, ill winds, and bad dews. And we're looking at these things. A person may look at these things and say to himself, that sounds, I don't want to say, like strange. Let's put it this way. We can even have thoughts that, maybe it sounds like, I don't know, like primitive or what is this? What are these things? The reason why we feel that, we might find ourselves feeling that, is because we lack emunah, that everything in this world and everything in our makeup is spiritual. Everything is godliness. There's nothing that happens in this world. It doesn't have a spiritual and a godly origin. Everything that we do is godly. Every single, especially when it turns to tzaddikim. Baruch Hashem, we came back from Uman, and the trip there was, for each one, was what it was. And the trip back was what it was. Every single person can write his own tale of what went on, and especially can write his own tale of woes of what went wrong. But the Nakuda is that we have performed a Nesiyah to the Tzaddik, Nesiyah to Rabbeinu. Every single step of the way, everything that happened to us when we were there, every single thing that's happened to us when we came back, is Kula Kodesh, Kula Ruchnis. There isn't any kind of thought of like, I wish that this would have come out differently. That this would have been, I wish this wouldn't happen, that would happen. Is simple lack of emunah. When we started going to Uman that many years ago, it was a different trip. It was a different Nesiyah. People started feeling comfortable. We flew to Kiev, new roads, 3 hours, 4 hours, you're in Uman, and you had hotels, and people started having different minyanim, and people starting to put their noses up in the air. Suddenly, it was beneath me to daven with you. I mean, in order to come to daven with our minyan, you had to have tickets so we can keep out the riffraff. You couldn't daven with us. Azoi. So Rebbe Shalom took Uman away from us. First of all, there was the corona. Couldn't get it at all. People were sitting in outside the border. They couldn't even pass. They all spent together outside in Belarus or whatever it is that they was. They couldn't cross the river. They couldn't go in. They wouldn't let them in. They sat together with the rain, in the rain, without food, without davening. Who sat together? Those who we're davening with you. But you needed a ticket to daven with them, together with those, the riffraff. They all sat outside of Ukraine. Lo na'elecha, it's beneath you to daven with him. You're going to sit with him outside of Uman. It's exactly what happened. Now there's a war. You want to be in fancy hotels, you want to be this, you want to do that. It'll take you days to get there. You'll miss trains, you miss flights, you'll miss standing by the border. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. To go by so Rabbeinu says, not even listening to the Torah, not even hearing the Torah, just hearing the voice, not even hearing the voice, just standing next to the house where the Torah is being said, Rabbeinu's Torah is being said, is an inen godol me'oid me'oid me'oid. We have absolutely no idea what kind of amazing, mind-blowing, unimaginable, no words to describe what Bezat Hashem we were Zocher to. And we're still Zocher, because it's still the trip from Uman. With some they call it Brislavitis, and they call it Umanitis, and whatever it is, the sore throat that everybody comes. Then everybody's this one, that, and infection is and this and that. Everything is a gift. Everything is a matana from the tzaddik. Which brings us to interesting nekuda regarding Mitzvah Shem tomorrow night. This is based on the Torah of David Wirtzman. He speaks about the vidui tomorrow. We're waiting here for Yom Kippur. It's like waiting, online to get, for a shower. We're schwitzy, we're dirty, everything that came, we're past the last year, we're waiting for this, this shower to come out, of the shower that will just clean us. That's the meaning of Kippuer, right? Of cleaning, it is. Take off the filth, the dirt. This is the feeling of Yom Kippur. It's a feeling of cleanliness, of all our behavior during this holy day is expressing this specific purity, the white clothes, the cleanliness. Even by the simplest of Jew, Yom Kippur is that it's like pure and it's clean. But there's something that's sort of like still incongruous with this thing. Dafka during this day, during every single one of its amazing tefillas, what do? We mention our sins over and over and over again. Rosh Hashanah, we don't mention a single aver, nothing. Yom Kippur, when we're all like angels, we don't eat, we don't wash, we don't wear shoes, we're malachim. Now we're talking about averis again and again and again and again. And I'm saying to myself, I'm a sinner. So, okay, it's clear I'm a sinner, but why say it with this white suit, this white balance on the background of this whiteness? I want to understand, you wear black clothes and put ashes on your head, whatever it is, and declare we're sinners, we're chaitim and poishim. Okay, somehow the whole thing will mistadir. But we're in the midst of the biggest purification, we're purity, cleanliness. We're wearing whites, like the ultimate Kabbalah. Every single thing about us is like expressing how clean we are. And we still proclaim we're sinners, we're sinners, we're criminals, we are in like splashing like kids in the mud in sin and in filth. And you can see it even more in the Seder Avodah. We expect Kohen Gadol was saying the Shem Firish, the actual name of Kodesh Baruch Hu, and all the Kohanim and all the people fall flat on their faces, and they said, "Bo shekval mechusay loylam void with total spashas agashmius, no gashmius." In what kesher does the Kohen Gadol mentions that as? I mean, the Shem Firish in the middle of the vidui for the Averis. What's the kesher? Shem Firish, you can say in Kriyashma, when you're give a Ketores and Kodesh HaKodeshim, not when you are declaring all the Averis. To understand this, Yob David says, interesting Akdama. He says there's a big gap between Yom Kippur and life itself. All the holidays, even though they are outside of Seder Zmanim, they don't contradict the Seder Zman. Sukkot, even though we don't live in the Sukkah, in the middle of the year, but we're not actually living abnormally. Whatever it is we do during the year in the house, we do it in the Sukkah. Pesach. Okay, so we change what we eat, but we eat the same way that we eat throughout the year. Here, Adaba, the mitzvahs that we do throughout the year are within the Gashmisdika life. And this is what we do, what we inject Ruchnius into our Gashmis. Yom Kippur, it looks like it was done, everything was done so that we do not exist in this world. First of all, Yom Kippur is different than any other Yom Tov, especially when it has to do with Chutz La'aretz. It's one day. It's extremely rare. One day means it's on the cusp of time. Full time is 7 days. 8 days is already beyond time. One day it's almost like before time. Yom Echad Hu Yevod Al Hashem. One day it will be known to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One day is like Netzach. One is not a number yet. Yom Kippur is one day. It's not within the regular order of days. That's the time. The same thing, no physical food. The 5 inuyim that include the nutrition of the body and all the pleasures of men. The white clothing represent, this in essence. White is a color that rejects all the other colors. It rejects all the other colors, and this day, we reject all the gashmis. We are actually separated from everything that we know from the regular time. The entire Hag on this day is likened by Chazal to, we are like malachim. We don't eat. We all hardly sleep. No shoes. Amazing oneness. And Dafka, this day might make us feel, a day that is so beyond our regular mitzias, our regular, that, it's not me. This is not who I am. When I look for the Daud Minim and the Kishum Sukkah, yeah, I'm doing a mitzvah and a chinam. But when I'm there, I'm dealing. I put the hand in the pocket, take out the wallet, whatever. Yom Kippur is totally yanking us outside of this world to an upper world. That's also the feeling of every single Jew. I'm not in the world. So what meaning does this have with my reality? How's this going to influence my regular life? What's the Indian for me to go in a spaceship and do something which is inhuman? It's not me. It's not going to change me. It's not going to change who I am. I'm going to remain who I am. The answer is that Yom Kippur, you're really outside. Yom Kippur is outside. But the truth is, this is exactly who we are. That's the story of Uman. That's the story of the Baal Shem Tov. We don't fit the regular order of life, of this world, with the food, with everything that goes on with it. This is not who we are. We don't fit this world. But we can touch that which we really are, the Jews that we really are, the meaning of what it means to be a Jew, of what it means to be by the tzaddik, of what it means to hear the Torah of the tzaddik, not even to hear, just to stand next to the place where the Torah of the tzaddik is being spoken. We can only touch it one day a year. Yom Kippur, we're touching an akudah that you can only touch one day. Yom Kippur reveals something that's very, very nagea to us. It is dafka this day that we return to being who we really, truly are. But we can't be there constantly because our work is in this world. But in order to be able to live in this world, to be this amazing being who we really are during Yom Kippur, during the life in this world, we have to be able to touch who we really are one time a year. That's why we got Yom Kippur. We're a body and a neshama. The body pulls the gashmis, the neshama to ruchnis. Mitzad the neshama, there's no limit to where we can get. The problem is obviously that we are tied down to the gashmis because this is where the work is. Person can decide, something from this day on, that's it. I'm going to be spiritual. Okay, we can make a lot of resolutions. But if a person makes a resolution, he's not going to sleep for 3 days, he's being beaten up immediately and you're sending him back to sleep. We don't even check it out. Maybe you will be able not to sleep for 3 days. No, you are chaymer. You're gashmi. You have a lot of choices, but not being a human being is not one of them. But the truth is that we are identifying ourselves with the body much more than we identify ourselves with the neshama. We see ourselves as a body. We feel the body, we live the body. We almost have no access to the neshama. It's really shocking to actually grasp that, but we know about a neshama, but we sort of like grasp it and know anything about it or we define it the way our body feels. I know it's an absurd, but the point is that we have no way of absorbing things, of knowing anything except through our body. We don't know what the neshama means. Yeah, it blinks inside us, but we have no control over it. Like, we can control it the way we control, the physical senses. We don't have a constant communication with our soul. We try to go after them. The neshama sort of like transmits things to us, and we're trying to go after them, but it just disappears. It's very difficult to live like that. Yom Kippur comes to solve that problem. As it were, the only option to actually connect to the neshama is to leave the body, but that's not an option. You can't live like this. Can't live like this for any length of time. Very quickly, things are going to go haywire. If the neshama will take full control, you're out of the ballgame. That means, like Eliyahu Novi, you're going up to the heavens. So what do? We go back and forth. Neshama, body, neshama, body. We're trying to, we're acting out of the body, and we're trying to sort of subjugate it to the neshama. It's difficult, to overrule the ratzon of the body with the ratzon of the neshama. So the connection with the body and neshama is mostly the way that we experience it is not as a harmony, but as a struggle. First of all, you have to schlep the body, after you have to schlep the neshama. You have to sort of convince them to work together somehow. But what can you do? We don't have any other choice. We are tied to the body. One day a year, it is possible. And Yom Kippur, we are in the neshama. We are identifying with it completely, totally. We let the neshama express itself the way it actually is. One day is possible. It's not the regular order of the day. It cannot be the regular order of the day. But it's critical for us to remember who we really are, so we can really identify with the real part of ourselves. In Kippuer, we have a direct contact with the neshama and our utter and complete goodness. That's Yom Kippur. This is the day where we are allowed and we must experience our true goodness. Torah Resh Pei Beis, RPB. We have to stop this dance going back and forth, between the body and the neshama. One time, one day a year, experience how things should be to begin with. To experience the neshama the way it is, not the way that the body is telling us about it. It's very important to emphasize. We don't necessarily will feel it. It may be that the only thing that we will actually feel in Kippuer was how much our body suffers. But that's okay, as long as we believe that this is exactly what's happening. It's only by the Sichos of Yom Kippur that there is total freedom to our neshama to actually reveal in all its glory, without being chained by the body. One holy day of the year, the neshama gets koyach to subsist throughout the whole long year. B'ezrat Hashem is waiting for each and every one of us. It is through Yom Kippur that we are able to get the koyach to do it. That's what the Vida does. You see a person that is really behaving not well. He's screaming and he's shouting and he's this and he's that, and he's like, what happens in the middle of him behaving like really not menschlich? He comes and says, listen, Please forgive me. I know that many times I'm behaving the way I shouldn't. And the Rebbe said, I know, but I'm trying to overcome it. Please don't take it to heart. I'm sorry if I'm behaving this way. I'm not doing B'chaman. It's just very difficult for me to overcome. He's going to tell it as, with honesty from the heart. Suddenly his image in our eyes will change. What has changed? He will have been able to separate who he is from what he does. Fellas, listen, that's the way that I behave is not who I am. That's not who I want to be. I don't have the koyach to overcome it. Suddenly we see that two things here. He just declared that he is aware of his behavior. So we see there's somebody here. There's a different kind of existence, of entity that is separate from the behavior. That's the vidui. The vidui is not saying who we are. The vidui is a declaration of the problems and the sins that we have gone through and push them out. This is not who I am. I know I did it. I know I keep on doing it. I know I promised 1,000 times not to do it again, and I keep on doing this again. But that's not who I am. We can dafka do it from the position of being who we really are, the malachim of Yom Kippur. It's a misunderstanding of the vidui that we are declaring ourselves as sinners. That this is our identity. I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. The truth is exactly the opposite. That behavior until now was our visiting card. It's part of who we are. The minute that we name it, we give it a name, we are actually yanking it out, and we're making it into something that exists outside us. This is purification. Those sins that I did, it's not me. By admitting them, I'm saying, this is what I did. I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm not saying that I'm away from this. Interesting enough, Adam Arishon, when he was, HaKadosh Baruch says, did you eat from Chet Etz Hadas? Adam Arishon says, Achalti v'ochal. I ate and I will eat. Excuse me? What kind of chutzpah is it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you, did you eat from Chet Etz Hadas? Told him not to eat. He says, yeah, I ate and I will eat. The other Rishon was an MSDK person. Everybody was MSDK, he was a tzaddik. He says, I ate. I couldn't stand the Nisayan before. I didn't have Yetzer Hara. I didn't have Yetzer Hara at all, and I ate. Now that I ate, I know I'm going to do it again. It's only when Cain, quote unquote, fooled, as it were, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, made a quasi tshuva. And Adam Rishon says, "What happened to you?" He says, "Well, I did tshuva." Other Rishon Chazal say didn't do real tshuva. He does a lip service. He says, "That's good enough for me. Go ahead." I said, "Oh, wow, that's the koach of tshuva." Koach of tshuva is to say, "This is not who I am. It's my behavior." This is the Indian of why the Shem first, the explicit Kodesh Baruch Hu was mentioned dafka on the vidui. Because it's dafka in the background of Shem first, the name of Kodesh Baruch Hu mentioned the way it is written, the Shem first, 72 letters. Then you can actually declare the Averis with a total cognition, modaut. We are a nation of Shem first. That's who you are. That's who I am. our failures, they're not who we are. Behind all the mistakes of our lives, there's only one meaning: the name of Hashem. That's in the code of Yom Kippur. It's a day of awakening. It's also in the segula of the day. It's the etzem avodah that we are staying away from all the needs of the body, giving ourselves over to the neshama completely. The mahus of all the Tanaisim of Yom Kippur is to bring us to the point that we don't rely on the body anymore. We're not going to give the body what it needs, because all the things of the body wants, to sleep, to eat, to this, to that, shoes, whatever, is not who we are. We are a neshama that lives in a body for a reason, in the rhythm of life. We never have a moment that we can actually stop and say, like, whoa, who am I really? So we get one day to actually recognize who we are. The need to make good choices, almost like karate thing. You have to live the moment, day to day. Okay, I've got this choice, that choice, this that choice, this choice, that choice. I mean, one day a year, push everything away. Who am I really? Now, Yom Kippur comes to remind us that, my dear Jew, you belong to the Elyonim. Your body is only a keli, is only a tool for something which is much more essential, much more real. You have a neshama. You actually really, really have a neshama. Zat Hashem, tomorrow, we'll all get back to Yom Kippur. And instead of, how did you pass the fast? Well, easy fast. It was a hard fast. This is all a point of view of the body. This is how the body talks. Was it easy? Was it hard? Oh Hashem. Oh Hashem. Ashreinu v'ashreinu 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 v'ashreinu. I want to wish you, every one of you, and now that I found out everybody actually is watching it on YouTube, because I found at least 2 people that do. And they claim that there are more. Geves. Aksio Simetoivo. Nagid Gibenchtio. Have a gewaltige Jahr, Kodesh Baruch Hu Hashem will seal us, l'chaim tovim, v'lishalom, will clean us from all the averis, because this is not who we are. This is what we do despite ourselves, when we forget who we really are. Here comes a day that reminds us of who we really are. We're the trip to remind us of who we really are. That's the enough coming into Yom Kippur from Oman. We got plenty of hints of who we are and who we aren't. Hashem bless us all. Klal Yisrael. Chaim tovim v'shalom. Chaim tovim v'alkim. And bracha and atzlacha and emunah and kol tov b'zat Hashem. Kol tov b'zat Hashem.